Welcome, everybody, to the Not My Fault podcast on the Strive Network. I'm one of your hosts, Jude McLaren, and I'm joined by the great Connor McKinnon on an early Sunday morning recording. Connor, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good. I wouldn't say great, but I don't view that myself that highly. But I appreciate you saying that. On another, it was very formal introduction, very atypical of us to give credit to the Strive Network, and since we're kind of slaves to that network, but it is what it is. Can't complain. Base aside our lives away. It's all right.
Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Forget about it, Fugazi.
We only feel pain under the reign of the Strive Network. Ooh, you see those rhymes. Anyways, if y'all are here, enough with the semi-ASMR. That was way too close. But enough with that. Y'all see the title. It is the NBA predictions episode. We're going to go through every single round in the playoffs, and we're going to predict them, and then we're going to go to the second round of the playoffs, and then we're going to predict them, and then we're going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, to the Western Conference Finals, all the way to the finals, predict all of our winners right before the playoffs start this Monday. Connor, first off, before we get into the predictions, I have a question for you.
Okay, let's go.
So, isn't it, did you, another thing I noticed in, the difference of this whole bubble thing is the playoffs are, as soon as the regular season ends, these 8 seeding games, right, is technically the regular season. The fact that it's, just 3 days later, or they had the play-in game today, it's just, you take 1 day off, and then it's playoffs. That honestly was, one of the things that I could take a positive out of this whole coronavirus thing, because usually we'd have to wait a week or so, and it feels like it always takes so long in that week to get to the playoffs in a normal regular season. But for me, I was just let's go. It's Monday.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, for the most part, the playoffs usually take a week or two before they usually start, but the fact it's only a couple of days is great for me. Hey, heck, when the first semester for college starts up for us, we'll have NBA playoffs to keep us entertained for that duration, which is great, but also not great because I have to study. So that's also the bounce, oh, do I watch a playoff game or do I have to study for the test? It's I got to watch that playoff game. But that, it happens a lot. I remember a lot of times in high school, whenever big games would come on, I'd watch them instead of doing schoolwork. And I'd do just fine because I'm that smart. But, shameless plug about me being a genius.
Wow.
It's a joke, people. I'm not a genius. I'm not chill. It's just making fun of myself to a ridiculous extreme. But some people see that and be like, oh, you really think it's a genius? They type away. People are crazy, but that's a whole nother topic. That's not our show. It's NBA Plus, but I'm very excited. I don't know why I went on that tangent. A little too much. It's one. You're getting 1 o'clock, Connor. That's
that you're getting 1 o'clock, Connor. You're getting 1 o'clock, Connor. Jude too for y'all.
Which is good and bad sometimes. I don't know which Jude I'm going to get sometimes whenever I answer the FaceTime call late at night. You never know. But I'm very excited about what's happening right now. The playoffs are right around the corner, and I'm thrilled, to say the least.
Bro, me too. That was basically just what I was trying to say earlier. I couldn't really get it into a good sentence, to be completely honest with you, because it is 1 a.m. Jude. But
illiterate Jude.
Dude, I am so excited. The fact that we don't have to wait. We have tomorrow, which we just get to chill, and I'm just going to be okay, so the playoffs are tomorrow. Can it be Monday?
What's the first game on Monday?
It is, I believe it is the Nuggets and the Jazz at 12:30. And the thing is that's cool this year, every game's on national TV.
I know. That's the best part about this.
And
there's only too many games going on.
I am going to be watching basketball from 12:30 to 10.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Yeah, well, I'm excited.
Because every game matters now. Facts.
They do, but I'm ready to talk about some of these playoff predictions. I have some good ones. I think.
I'm waiting. I'm curious.
I'm going to create some controversy with these picks. I'm going to make a few people mad, but I'm happy about it.
Hey, it is what it is, man. Do what you got to do. Follow your gut. and let's see what you have to say. So now we're about 5 minutes in with some banter. It is approximately 1 a.m. Hashtag late night pod. Late night with not my fault. I need to stop. But let's get into this first matchup, Connor. We're going to start with the East, guys, and then we're going to go into the West. But just to start off, Bucks Magic, Connor. How many games? Who do you got winning?
Bucks in 4. I originally thought it was going to be Bucks in 5 because if you don't remember, Giannis against the Wizards headbutted one of the players.
Yeah, Mo Wagner, and it messed up the Spurs. I would like to say that you never know what could have happened, but if I would have liked that maybe a little bit of hope if the Bucks could have won that game against whoever, the Grizzlies.
That was the Wizards that they're playing against. He
did. He headbutted Mo Wagner on the Wizards.
Okay, and then you're talking about the next game.
Because he was suspended for that next game, that just like ruined the Spurs' playoff chances. But I'll get off that. If you want to hear more about that, go listen to the latest JTM. But
promoting another podcast on our podcast.
Bucks
Breaking
Magic.
Walls.
Hey, go listen to the new Def Cam recordings coming out tomorrow. Am I right?
Yeah.
Coming out today. So it'll be out today. You got a double podcast day. How about that, Connor?
Yeah. We'll see how this episode goes. It's going to be different. Tune in though. It's different, but I'm excited. Change of pace is the episode title.
Anyways, now that we've got both of our podcasts plugged, now I feel like we can officially get into predictions. You got Bucks in 4.
Bucks in 4.
Why did you think you were going to maybe give them 5?
Just because I thought Giannis was going to be suspended a game in the playoff because of the headbutt. I thought they were going to give him 2 games, and most people thought it was going to be 2 games, but only gave him 1 game, which I went, okay. Regular season game that doesn't matter for the Bucks. But with that being said,
it didn't matter for the Bucks. No, it didn't. It didn't matter for the Bucks. It mattered for a bunch of other people.
I have to give the Magic a little bit of credit because I did beat the Raptors. I have to give the Magic credit because I did win 1 game off the Raptors last year with Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
So maybe that they may get 1 game, but I feel that Giannis and the Bucks are going to want to get this over with as quick as possible, move on to that next round matchup, which I think is going to be big. But I got Bucks in 4 pretty easily.
I'm with you here, Connor. Jonathan Isaac, him getting hurt was huge for the Magic just in general. I think that would have been a big case for them maybe getting a game here. Really, I mean, you're kind of relying on DJ Augustine or Evan Fournier to go just get like 41 night for you to have a win. And while there is a small percentage chance that potentially could happen because we've seen it in the past with the Magic going crazy and winning some like a game in the playoffs, I don't think it's going to be this year. I just think that I think that there were some teams in the West, and I'm not even just talking about my Spurs. I think the Suns are better than the Magic. You know what I mean? I think the Grizzlies are better than the Magic, and I think the Spurs are better than the Magic too. So that's just kind of how I feel. This Magic team without Jonathan Isaac is kind of donezo on defense, and Jonathan Isaac would have been like their, Giannis neutralizer, if you will. It wouldn't have happened, but he was the only person on the roster who could play with him defensively, and he's gone. So I'm with you, Bucks in 4.
Yeah, I think there's not much to be said about that match. Pretty easy playoff prediction for our first one.
Yes, sir. So are we going down the bracket or are we going?
Yeah, we might as well just go down the next bracket with the Pacers and the Miami Heat.
Don't mean to interrupt you here, Connor, but for you guys who want to follow along with this bracket, we may have it up on the screen during video editing. I'm not sure yet, but you can go to NBA's Twitter account or their Instagram account. It was the official NBA graphic that they put out. So that's where it is. It is. It is a great bracket. So Connor, your favorite team in the playoffs going up against the biggest rivalry in NBA bubble history, or just 2020.
TJ Bubble MVP Warren. Yeah. Even though Jimmy Butler made him look like a bum in that second half in that game.
He did.
They played the second to last game before they played the Pacers again, weirdly enough. But, yeah, I got Miami winning this series, and I'm going to say in 6 games, surprisingly. I was mulling around the idea of 5. But I think the Pacers are one of those teams that are very deceptive, and they're going to cause some trouble for Miami. But Miami as an overall team, they're just better than Indiana. I think that they have a loss. I think Sabonis, they don't have him playing. And I think it would have
Yeah, they
been
don't.
a very interesting series if he would have played. I think it might have been pushed to maybe 7 games, which would not have been good for Miami. But no, I got Miami in 6. Maybe they get in 5, but in my opinion, 6. I give respect to the Indiana Pacers because they got Victor Oladipo back, and he hasn't been a star per se in the bubble, but he can play. So and TJ Warren, if he gets hot, he's going to get hot. So maybe he has a couple of games where he plays really well. But I expect Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic with his experience in the playoffs, they're just going to overwhelm them at certain points in the game and take over. They've shown that against top teams in the East and even in the West that they could win big games. So I expect Heat in 6.
I have to agree with you, Connor. I was kind of leaning 5-2, but I think just with how scrappy the Pacers are, I think they'll claw out 2. They're too good of a team to just get one win, I feel like. But I could see it going 5. I could see it going 5, but I'm going to go 6 as well with the Heat winning. The only way that I feel like the Pacers can win this series is if they get Oladipo, that was like MIP Oladipo. But the problem is he's still not 100%. You can tell when he's playing, even when he has good games. Like, he has the ability to still get you 20, but he's not as explosive as he usually is, which definitely is why I think a lot of the reason that TJ Warren has been taking most of the shots. Now, what he did and produced from that was totally unexpected, but I think the reason that the game plan was feed TJ Warren was because while, yes, Oladipo can be that solid defender and can get buckets throughout the game, he's not going to be able to be that high motor guy that he usually is, who's driving to the rim and, doing a lot of pull-up jumpers. He's going to have to kind of pace himself throughout the game since he's able to play, at a high level. But he's not all-star Oladipo right now, in my opinion, from what I've seen. But yeah, basically what that means is TJ Warren's going to have to score like 35 every game for them to win
That's
the
not
series.
happening. It's just not going to happen.
And if there's one person that's been able to slow down TJ Warren, it's Jimmy Butler. So that's why I feel like it could go 5. I'm going to give TJ Warren like 2 games where he gets around 25 and the rest of the team plays. And maybe, in both of those games too, Oladipo goes for like 25 or so. Maybe Miles Turner. They need a lot of guys to play well. I think an X factor in this series, believe it or not, I may sound crazy, is Malcolm Brogdon. Because Malcolm Brogdon has a lot more playoff experience, deep playoff experience than the rest of that Pacers roster. So if he can start hitting threes and playing some lockdown defense on maybe Dragic or something, that could win them some games. But overall, the Miami Heat right now, in my opinion, look like the deepest team in the league. And the way that they're able to shoot the 3 ball, they're the top 3-point shooting league or top 3-point shooting team in the league as well. But I think the most intriguing thing about that 3-point shooting is how, like, with guys like Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero, where they can pull up on a dime in somebody's face and it's nothing but net. I could go on and on about how much the Heat have impressed me this year, but I think that Bam Adebayo is going to outskill Miles Turner. He can take him onto the perimeter, which I don't think that Miles can really hang with him out there. And, of course, Jimmy Butler is the TJ Warren neutralizer, and he can guard Oladipo at times too. So I think this will be a win for the Heat in 6 games.
So good. So we got in the conference semifinals, Bucks and the Heat. And now we have to go to the other rounds of matchup for the other
side of the bracket, baby. Okay.
Do we want to start with Boston and the Sixers or the Raptors?
Let's go 2-7 because that Boston Sixers series,
I guess I'll go with you, Jude, because I think I said Heat and 6, so you get to predict this next one, then I'll retort.
So I'm gonna go Raptors in 5. I think Karis LeVert is going to have a Karis LeVert game. If you look at how he played last year in the playoffs, I forget what his number was, but it was like 25 plus in like 4 straight games and with some 30-point games. With how he looked in that Dame series where he almost sent them home. Oh my God, if he would have done that, that would have been ridiculous. I told you this, Connor, before we started recording. Yeah. Imagine Karis LeVert hitting that and mimicking the Dame bye-bye that he did to Paul George last year.
You're salvating a little too much on that. It was he had a good look at it, but
the potential of that shot going in would have been one of the most troll-worthy moments in NBA history, and I'm so sad it didn't happen, but I'm also happy at the same time because I want to see the Blazers play the Lakers. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But I think Karis LeVert is going to have a Karis LeVert game where he's just going to outscore, where he's going to like score 50 or something and just win a game for the Nets. But other than that, the Raptors will just be super well-rounded. They can go down the post to Serge or Marc Gasol, and they can just eat. Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry will hit some shots. This Nets roster is, it's Joe Harris and the gang and a bunch of G Leaguers.
Katie-less and Kyrie-less.
Yeah, and Spencer Dinwiddie-less. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people
It's called a tongue,
out.
Jude. Make sure to use it.
Hey, it's hard right now, but I think Karis will get a great game, but for the rest of the games, the Raptors are just gonna blow them out.
Yeah, I literally had Raptors in 5. That was my initial pick. I slightly for a second thought 6 games, and I said there's no way. Toronto is a team you can argue is one of the best overall teams in the NBA in the bubble so far. They've been easily the most slept on team when it comes to the Eastern Conference. And I know Spencer has a lot to say about this Raptors and his opinion about, which we'll get into probably with Boston coming up when we talk about them. But with the Raptors, they're the best overall team, team basketball wise, in my opinion, besides maybe Miami. They just play well, cohesive. There's no like superstar. You have a star in Pascal Siakam who's going to get it done, but he's not a superstar yet. But you have a really good collection of talent that surrounds him. And I really do believe Fred VanVleet is someone that's an X factor for the Raptors, who hits big shots when you need him to. But this shouldn't be a problem against the Nets. The Nets will put up a decent fight because, like you saw against Portland Trailblazers, they gave him a pretty good one. It was a close, right down to the wire. So, bro, it will be tight games, but Toronto, with their experience and having an NBA championship in the repertoire, they're going to figure out a way to pull it out in 5. And they're going to be close games, but the Raptors will get it done.
Absolutely. When you talk about deep teams too, excuse me, I don't know what was going on with my voice there, but
Jude smoked a pack of cigarettes before he came on, guys. So.
Yeah, I'm like that depressed dad at midnight. But anyways, just lost his job, divorced. Anyways, but
smoke it since I've been out of the womb.
Absolutely, nothing but lung cancer. Anyways,
you remember that?
You got me off track, dog.
Yeah, no, but like really quick, every time I do the smoker's voice, it gets so close to the SpongeBob with the chocolate. Why did you say chocolate?
I'm 108 years old. I love chocolate.
But I always hated it. Okay. Anyways, back on track. But yeah,
that was a really good impression, I'd like to say. We can't let that slip.
Yeah. I got a few up my sleeve.
To be honest, are we on Raptors Nets still, or are we?
I think we're done. I'm done. Okay.
We're both in 5, so we're going to Celtics Sixers. Okay.
Yeah.
Please go first.
I have a lot of. I'm trying not to get my bias in the way here, just mostly because of Spencer. Spencer, he came on the podcast last week, and he really frustrated me because I tried to make a counterpoint, but I was so clouded by his misjudgment that I couldn't think of anything.
Oh yeah, that's another. Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Just one thing I'd like to address from last week's episode was him saying that when the Celtics play with bigs for the past 3 years, that's never been a problem. Big problem. Al Horford's not on your roster anymore.
They don't have any size.
That's what I'm saying.
People don't understand.
They're the guy who is one of the best interior defenders in the league. He's on the team you're playing.
Okay, I guess I'll get my prediction. As much as I'm getting irritated with Spencer Galloway and coming on the podcast and making a mockery of his knowledge on the NBA, and him sitting there like, "Yo, guys, it's really cool."
He said I didn't watch basketball.
Yeah, you can get out of here with that. I wasn't really confident with him on because, I know Spencer okay, but I don't know him enough to go at him like that, and maybe that's not right because to be honest, I didn't know what to say at times. I was just kind of sitting there going, "Is he really saying this right now?" And then I have time to digest. I'm able to.
Meanwhile, I was just screaming.
Yeah, and I don't, him longer. I wasn't going to do that. And now if he came on the show again, I feel more comfortable digging into him now. But anyways, I got Boston winning this in 6. I really do think Joel Embiid is going to eat away at Boston for 2 games, but I can't be biased and say the 76ers are going to win because they don't really have that much of a shot without Ben Simmons, even though Ben Simmons has just been weird to me when it comes to his overall performance as a player and as a leader in Philadelphia as an organization. I don't know what they're doing, what they plan on doing, giving 2 enormous contracts to 2 bigs. It's ridiculous. But I think Joel Embiid is going to show something here where you may be surprised. And I really do think the Sixers will put up a bit of a fight. But Boston overall just has so much better talent. Kemba Walker is the shot maker for that team in the clutch, in my opinion. As much as I do like Tatum as a player, I really do think Kemba Walker makes that engine go. And he should be full go for this playoffs. And I think it's going to be competitive against the Sixers. They still got some talent with Tobias Harris. No one talks about. He can hit shots. Joel Embiid, Shaq Milton has been someone that's been talked about a little bit. But yeah, I got Boston in 6.
This is such a tough series for me, Connor, because
I know.
I could see Boston in 6 and then I could see Philly in 7. You know what I'm saying? Like because there's so many ways that it could go.
Yeah.
Because if Al Horford, if the whole game plan for the Sixers is just like throw it to Embiid, then throw it to Horford, hell, then throw it to Harris. Harris has got a good, back to basket post fadeaway game.
I'm not sure is guarding Embiid. The only reason I give
They don't
the
have
Sixers,
anybody who can guard Embiid. The only they can bring in Cantor, and he's a size matchup, but he's not going to guard him. Honestly, I think that you call me crazy. I think that the best shot that the Celtics have is to just play Taco.
Taco, yeah, you have to.
My bad. Yeah, because I don't know who else is going to just match up with him. Like maybe you play Cantor, but Cantor is notoriously known for being bad on defense, and you're basically getting. I was about to say you're getting a Shaq style player. Embiid is nowhere near Shaq, but his play style is similar. Obviously, he's a better shooter than him, but when he's being a monster in the paint and using his ability, he has that. He can just impose his will on other people with his size and get an easy layup in the paint, right? I don't think they have anybody on their roster to defend that. At the same time, if I look at the rest of the roster, Jason Tatum is probably going to be guarded by Al Horford. That'll work in the paint, but on the perimeter, that's not going to work. Jaylen Brown will probably outplay Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward will outplay whoever he's playing, and Kemba Walker will outplay whoever he's playing. And then we still haven't even mentioned Marcus Smart.
Yeah, he's been really good. I just think Boston, they have a lot of talent.
The more that I'm talking about it, I think I'm just going to go with you. And not even just
Boston
because
6.
you said it, but I just think the talent gap is going to be too overwhelming. I'm going to go Boston in 6-2. But like I said, if for some reason it's just super effective and Boston can't stop it because Jason Tatum's guarding Al Horford in the paint, and then Boston goes cold shooting, which we've seen, then the Sixers can take advantage and just do their little 2-pointers, and maybe Tobias hits some threes. Shake Milton gets hot from 3. They're going to need some things to happen. They're going to need Boston to miss some shots. But the thing is that's not that far out of reach.
No,
with that being said, I think they're going to hit the shots in the playoffs. I think they'll be motivated against their biggest rival in the first round, and they're probably going to want to beat Al Horford as well. That's going to be a big storyline throughout this whole thing. So I'm with you. I'm going Celtics in 6.
Okay. So we have Toronto and Boston moving on to the conference semifinals for the Eastern Conference. Now we're going to have to go back to the Eastern Conference as well and talk about our predictions for the Eastern Conference semifinals when it comes to the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks.
There might be some people that think I may say something blasphemous
here.
here.
Now it's your turn, Jude. Who do you have winning this series in the conference semifinals?
With the Bucks and the Heat, you're making me go first? Oh.
Yeah, because I already went first for the
You're
Boston
right. You
Sixers.
went first for most of them. I think I've only gone first once. I don't know. This may sound bad. I feel like your perspective might bring me down to earth. But right now, I don't want to embarrass myself here on the podcast. But right now,
You gotta have an opinion, Jude.
I have the Heat in 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I almost said a cuss word out there for a second. I had to stop
I have the
myself.
Heat in
I was like,
6.
"Ooh." Oh.
They're deeper. They're more consistent on the bench, and they're more consistent offensively. The only thing that I can think of, I mean, there's Giannis. Bam can guard him. Yeah, you still have to deal with Brook Lopez, but you've got other people. I mean, Brook Lopez, I mean, you're going to have to worry about him in the
Can't be the best
post.
3-point shooter on the team.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if he's on the perimeter, you can have anybody contest his shot. Yeah, maybe sometimes he shoots over him. That's the only guy I'm not worried about. I should probably not be asking you this, Connor, but remind me who the Heat's power forward is right now. It's escaping me.
Kelly Olynyk's been starting a lot at power forward.
If he's been starting at power forward, then okay, he can definitely play with Lopez. He can.
Like, yeah, I think
he's
Kelly
not
Olynyk
the greatest player.
Hotter.
Yeah, he can get hot. He's not the greatest player on the planet, but he can hang with Brook Lopez in the post, and he can guard him on the perimeter. And I feel very confident with the way that Bam is playing, and I think he's going to slow down Giannis in a lot of these games. What I've seen from the Bucks so far, yeah, they have the best record in the league, but in the bubble, and I know, yes, a lot of these people I've heard a lot of people saying, like, things are going to get thrown out when it's the playoffs in the bubble. I don't think so. There's still no fans. It's this environment. I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw in the regular season with, like, there will be weird things. There will be players who still play better than they'll normally play. Like, I think Fred VanVleet is going to be one of the top scorers for the Raptors. If they were doing it in person, I feel like that might be Pascal Siakam. You get what I'm saying? But in this, like, AAU type feel, even though people have gotten used to it, I think that still Fred VanVleet may hit more shots than he normally would if it was in, more of a high pressure environment. And,
sure.
they're cheering Pascal to get the ball, right? But yeah, I mean, I could see it going 7. I could see the Bucks winning. But I just think that, I mean, I know that the Bucks, like, have a lot of players, but the way that they've played, like, Miami's faster. They're the best 3-point shooting team in the league. That's another thing that you've got to remember about this Miami team. And when it comes down to the clutch, this is really the reason that I have the Heat winning. I just trust Jimmy Butler taking a clutch shot more than I trust Giannis right now.
Agreed.
Just from what I've seen in Giannis's career. And I think that Jimmy Butler, a lot of people after the series are going to be like, oh, he's one of the best players in the league. And I just think that he needed a situation. This may sound crazy because a lot of people say that he's the problem, but I really think that he just needed a situation where he can be successful and there's no excuses. And his mentality and attitude matches that of Pat Riley in the Heat. I think they're going to have an upset here, and this will plant the seeds for Giannis leaving to the Warriors or whatever team he wants to go to.
Yeah, I know we talked about that about Giannis. To make sense of the Bucks lost in this round, and then Giannis leaves to the Warriors. In my mind, it makes
some
perfect.
Calls go Miami's way, you know what's happening.
I got Miami in 7 just because I think the Bucks are so tough, and Giannis is going to have his way. I could see that too. Giannis is going to have his way some games, and he's just going to score close to 40 points. I really respect Bam Adebayo as a defender, but when I watched him play against Giannis has maybe a step on him, even though Bam is a great defender. He can defend really well, but against Giannis, it's difficult for anyone to guard him. And there's going to be times where Giannis is going to get the better of Bam. So that's a matchup I'm really interested in. But the reason I have Miami winning the series is because I trust Goran Dragic way more than I trust Eric Bledsoe. And Goran Dragic is going to play a lot more. Kendrick Nunn has been starting a lot at point, but that's going to be pushed aside a little bit. I think he's going to play more 6-man role, Kendrick Nunn, and Goran Dragic is going to come off the bench and be a starter, I think, a lot, or maybe be on the bench but play more minutes than Kendrick Nunn, whoever they want to do it. But I trust Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic more than I trust Giannis and Eric Bledsoe. I really don't like Eric Bledsoe as a shooter. He has really great athleticism and can pass the ball. But at the end of the day, I don't trust the Bucks because of Giannis. And he hasn't proven to me that he can shoot consistently outside, and that's been the biggest impediment to his game. And he's working on it. It's not like he hasn't been working on it. He just hasn't been doing it. And Miami, if they start – because they live and die by the 3. Yeah, they start hitting those 3-point shots, it's over. And I'll make a quick side note when it comes to Miami. They played against the Milwaukee Bucks inside the bubble without Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic, and they were up in the half by 20 without
Yep.
Jimmy Butler and
That
Goran
was
Dragic.
not a good win for the Bucks.
No, it was not. They came back and won, but Giannis had to go crazy in the fourth quarter. But that told me
That was like
that
the Sixers win against the Spurs.
yeah, it was a bad win for Milwaukee. I wasn't really impressed. I was very impressed by Miami. I mean, Miami's had a few losses in the bubble for sure, but it's been without Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic, and they're going to be playing. They weren't drastic injuries. They just wanted to rest their players for the most part. And so I expect Miami 7. It's going to be a tough series, but I got Miami.
Yeah, I think the reason that I have it in 6 is like Eric Bledsoe, I didn't even consider him because he's just such a non-factor. Like if he goes off, then
Yeah.
He had the talent, and I just disrespected him, I guess. But I don't know, man.
He's gonna listen to our podcast, but
like,
yeah, they're not my fault. Pod said they work. I'll show them.
Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. There are other guys that can. Goran Dragic. I mean, there are so many other guys that have consistently hit threes for this Heat team throughout the season.
Duncan Donuts Robinson, yeah,
and in here, Chris Middleton.
I'm not sold on him.
Like
that much.
I'm not. He's inconsistent. He's got a lot of talent. He's a pure shooter. He's gonna hit some shots. I just think that collectively, I think that Duncan Robinson can match the amount, just the way that he's looked. He's a better contested shot shooter than Chris Middleton is, in my opinion. I think he's going to score just about as much as him. And then that's not accounting Tyler Hero. That's not accounting Goran Dragic. That's not accounting Kendrick Nunn. I know there's some other 3-point shooters I'm probably missing. Kelly Olynyk. Bam can even hit it. That's obviously not who you're going to be relying on. But I think that when it comes down to shooting, because that's what it's going to be, Jimmy Butler will probably take it to the paint. Maybe they'll throw it down to Bam. But both of these teams go for the same thing. They go for buckets in the paint, and then they go for threes. I think that Giannis is kind of going to do whatever he wants to do. I think the Heat are going to match it between Bam and Jimmy, and then I think the Heat are going to hit more threes. And that's I just think that's going to happen throughout the game. I think Bam's going to get better defending Giannis as the series goes on. But yeah, I could see it going 7 games. The reason I pick in 6 is because I think the Heat are just going to consistently hit threes, and then Jimmy's going to close it out. And I just don't. He has a clutch gene that Giannis is yet to show. So,
all right. So we have Miami moving on to the conference finals in the Eastern Conference. So now we'll move on to our conference semifinals for Boston and Toronto. I guess I will start off with my prediction. This is one of the tougher ones to pick because I know Boston, if they play well together, they have definitely more talented players than Toronto. That's a fact. But they have no size. And to me, Toronto has enough at point guard, scoring guard, center as an overall team that they will pull it off in a 7-game series, because I really do think Boston will push them that far. And it could go either way. I could be easily wrong on this. But it's going to be a very long and grueling series. But Toronto's going to win in 7. I trust Toronto. I know Spencer came on here saying, well, Toronto was a winner. Yeah, but they had DeMar DeRozan. And he hasn't really done much.
Him being off the roster might be off the
roster made him better. I don't know. Kyle Lowry looks really good even at the age of 33, 34.
His clutchness, he had Kawhi last year, but this season his clutchness has been way better than it was before Kawhi, and now he's without Kawhi and DeRozan, and so obviously that stuck. Just like to say that.
And with Boston, I don't know how I feel about them as a team. They have no doubt very talented at the wing and point guard positions, but they have no size. And when you have no size, Marc Gasol, who is very good, he's not washed up like Spencer was hinting a little bit, kind of saying he was washed up. I was like, Marc Gasol can still play. He worked out a lot during the offseason. He looks in very good shape. Serge Ibaka can still play. He can still defend very well. And I think that's going to cancel out some of the play. Tatum, Jaylen Brown, if they get hot, and Kemba Walker, they're all hitting on all cylinders, and all bets are off because they played against Toronto and they wiped the floor with them, 122-100 if the score reflects what I remember in the bubble. But I trust Toronto. I think they're proven champions. and I got them at 7. But it's close, very close.
That's what I have too. I have Toronto in 7. I don't know. I just don't think that. I think the addition of Kemba helped, but I just think that there's going to be, even if Jalen has a game where he scores 30, or Jason has a game where he scores 30. Excuse me. Oh my God. 1:30 a.m. Jude.
See, you're yawning and I'm sweating. I've been profusely kind of sweating a little bit, and I don't know if it's because I'm making these picks and going, "Oh no, what's going to happen to each pick?" But no, I think it's just really hot in this room.
Yeah.
Just allowed to say that. Just it's crazy.
I've actually got a little
face.
bit of it, not too much, but just a tad. But going back to that series, I just think that they're going to miss some shots down the stretch. And I think the size, the interior points are going to be the defense, because I think that for the most part, I think Pascal will make some plays. And I think that the Raptors just have some shooters who will make some shots late. I think Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet, as much as Spencer may clown me for that, I mean, they're clutch. They're going to hit shots late.
They proved
did it last
shots.
year.
Fred VanVleet was hitting shots in the
won
paint.
a finals. Yeah, like I don't know, man.
I don't know why, because Fred VanVleet, he was hitting shots in the paint. He was acting like he was a shooter. I was like, no. He's going inside the paint and scoring, making incredible layups. I remember that's one of the highlights of VanVleet in the playoffs was him making crazy shots inside the paint, where I went, I don't know how he did that. So, yeah, I think if you look at it at paper matchup, Boston should win. Like, if you look at the talent, Boston should win. And if they win, I'll give them props because they should. But I like the team mentality better than I do like a star.
And here's the other thing, Connor. I totally forgot to mention this. So it's going to be the interior points and the bench scoring.
Yeah.
Toronto's bench is going to wipe they're going to outscore.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to outscore Brad Wanamaker and the gang basically every time. Like every game that they're going to win interior points. They should. It seems like it, that they should easily be able to win interior points, and they should be able to beat them on the bench every time. And I think that Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet are going to hit some threes in the playoffs, and Pascal's going to make some shots too. And OG Anunoby has been playing really great.
I forgot about him. Yeah, he's been playing well.
They had another, and he's really great on defense. They can put him on Brown or Tatum or Hayward. Even I don't know about Kemba. He could probably give Kemba.
I also forgot about Norman Powell too. He's a really good player.
He's been playing great. There was another player they had that dropped 20 the other day, Stanley Johnson. You remember him with the Pistons?
Oh yeah, he used to be a Piston. I think.
Yeah, he was a top pick. Never really panned out. This Raptors development, we've seen it with their G Leaguers. They kind of do it like the Spurs. That's where Nick Nurse is from. That's what they did with Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam, right? Chris Boucher. I mean, they've got a lot. I just think they're way deeper. They have guys that can score, and they have a lot of talent on this team. You know, star power, it goes to the Celtics. Overall team, I think Nick Nurse will just barely outcoach Brad Stevens, because Brad Stevens is a really good coach, but Nick Nurse has really shown how good he is this year, keeping them at this position while losing the best player on the planet, or at least in the top 3. Nobody will argue that. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be close. I think Boston's going to hit some shots, but I think at the end of the day, it's just going to be too much for the Celtics whenever it comes to a full team aspect. And like I said, bench points and points in the paint, because I think that the Raptors will keep pace with their 3-point shooting for the most part.
Okay, so now Eastern Conference Finals, we have the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors. And since I went just not too long ago for the conference semifinals, it's your turn, Jude, to pick who makes it to
my gosh, I have
NBA
to go first.
Finals. Who makes the NBA Finals out of the Eastern Conference, Toronto or Miami?
So these are two really good teams.
Very good. They match up on paper pretty well, and they're both very team-oriented.
And this is where I'm going to feel a little hypocritical, because I'm going with the best player in the series. But the difference is this best player has a consistent and full team beside him, not just a starting lineup. I'm going with the Miami Heat in 7. Yeah, I know. I right now I feel like the Heat are the best team in the East. I'm not even saying that just to because I know you're a fan. I know how good Toronto is. I know their experience. I think the whole narrative on Jimmy Butler has just been wrong. I know this sounds crazy, but I think they're deeper, they're faster, they're better shooters. They do what Toronto does, but they have a certified star player who is known to hit shots in the clutch. I'm picking him over Kyle Lowry. Spencer's probably so mad right now. He's like, your logic, now you're talking about star players. But like I said, he has players on the bench that can actually score. And Jimmy Butler is consistent in the clutch. And even when he does have bad games, he finds ways to do other things. In that first game against TJ Warren, we saw how bad shooting he was. He picked it up in the second half. And while he didn't have it picked up, he was getting rebounds and he was getting assists. Yeah, I think that Bam Adebayo and Kelly Olynyk will be able to outrun and run with Serge Ibaka and Marcus Hall. They're younger, faster, stronger. Yeah, I mean, I know this may sound crazy. I didn't think I would have been here if you would have told me 2 weeks ago. Y'all heard me. I had the Bucks making it.
I had the Bucks too originally.
And then I had Toronto right under them. But as I went through the bubble and I watched this Heat team, I think they've also in this series, they have the best coach.
Erik Spoelstra. No one ever talks about him that much.
I know I just gave Nick Nurse a compliment, but Nick Nurse hasn't won 2 championships. And I know that Erik Spoelstra had LeBron and all them, but he's been a part of that Heat organization for forever. On Mark's podcast with Caron Butler recently, I don't know if you listened, he was mentioning how Erik Spoelstra was a big part of the video coordination and watching film before he was even the head coach.
Yep.
I may sound crazy. If Toronto wins, I get it. I can see it. I just think that Jimmy Butler, I think Jimmy Butler is just going to be laughing at everybody at the end of this series.
I'm very torn about this matchup, not only because I'm a Heat fan, but as an NBA fan, it's hard for me when I look at these teams because they match up very well. But the youth is on Miami's side a little bit. And
the way they've performed.
The only thing I see that's going to mess with Miami slightly is the fact that Nick Nurse's defensive schemes are crazy. He changes it up almost all the time depending on who the opponent is. And the thing is that you can't let Miami get hot from 3. I really do think
they hit contested shots is the thing. Like, I respect the heck out of Nick Nurse and the Raptors, and I'm not trying to interrupt you, but you're saying that, like, yes, they have these defensive schemes. With what I've seen from Duncan Robinson, he's just hitting it in people's faces. Like, he's having like 2 hands in his chest and he's just shooting it over them. And they're going in. Like, and there's no doubt that they're going in. Like, they look like they're going in and they go in.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be playoff experience going to play a big factor. I got Miami in 7 as well. And it's tough for me just because I know that Toronto is a very good team. And I'm sitting here profusely sweating because it's hot in this dang room.
We haven't even got to the West.
I know. We haven't even gotten to the West yet. And I'm like dying slowly. I have to readjust my headset. But no, I got Miami in 7. I think it's going to be very close. I think they're very well evenly matched when it comes to bench scoring and team scoring. But the difference is going to be who's going to hit that shot in Game 7. And I think Jimmy Butler still has that just disgusting taste of being with the Sixers in his mouth, with Kawhi Leonard hitting that jumper over the Philadelphia 76ers.
And he would do it against that same team, even though Kawhi's not there.
Yeah, and so I think it's going to be a very interesting revenge story for Jimmy Butler, and I really do think his presence will be felt in the playoffs. He's not going to be a 30-point scorer, but he's going to get you 20 and 10, and then with a bunch of steals and blocks. There's going to be a very big X factor, and so we both have Miami moving on to the NBA Finals. So done with the Eastern side of things.
Wow, I'm surprised we agreed there. We're probably – so just for full disclosure, right now. We've been trying to keep episodes at 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's not happening, man.
It's
not
just
gonna happen.
it's not happening with this episode.
But clips,
the good news
we
is
got clips though.
we will definitely have clips. So if you guys just want to give us a play here, and right now you're sweating like us, you're like, man, I'm pooped after all that. You can just go watch the other clips. We'll probably put up a clip for every single prediction.
Yeah, we didn't even get to the best part about this.
Yeah,
This is the Western
it's
Conference.
the West. So just if you need to go, you got something to do, no worries. If not, you want to stay, you're intrigued with us picking the Miami Heat, then stay as well. But we will have clips for this, just letting you guys know. But on to the West, Connor. Los Angeles Lakers and the Portland Trail Blazers. What do you have, sir?
I got Lakers in 6. To me, I thought about jokingly the Portland might win in 7, but my brain went, let's calm down. I know you don't like LeBron, Connor, but let's slow it down. Lakers, they're going to get far with LeBron and AD, but that's all they have. I don't think they're getting anything else. They may get Rajon Rondo back, but it's going to be a little too late. But for me, when it comes to their chances, but Lakers are going to win. I think Portland has absolutely no defense, but Lakers have no defense either. I was watching their NBA bubble. They have no defense, and I doubt they can flip that switch. Like Charles Barkley said, when you think you can flip that switch, sometimes it doesn't come on. And I think they'll be able to get away with it with Portland because Portland is notorious for playing down to the opponents. Like last year was so bad when the Warriors, of course, they were a great team, and they didn't have KD, but they couldn't win one game. They got swept. And to me, I couldn't stand that. And I know that Dame Lillard is very clutch, but he wasn't clutch in that conference finals. And I thought Portland had a decent shot last year at making it a very competitive series, but I still have the Warriors making it. But they did make it a competitive series. They got swept. But I'm going to give Dame Lillard respect. I think they're really fighting. I'm going to give them 2 games. And I just think AD is going to be too much for Nurkic. And LeBron is going to be LeBron.
I agree with that completely. Honestly, ditto for the most part. I have the Lakers in 6 as well. The thing is, like when we were talking about this, like nobody when Dame is hitting those shots, nobody can guard him. So even if you say, "Oh, Danny Green is a good defender," CJ McCollum and I, as someone who watched Danny Green for years,
yeah,
right.
Person, yeah.
I know he's a different player now, but he's still basically the same thing, to be honest. He's a 3-and-D guy, right? And he hasn't been doing much 3, and he's struggled a little on D, okay? This bubble. So I think that Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum are going to hit some shots. If Nurk can hit some 3s, some games, and slow down AD after he's carried for some wins, which he may do in this series, I think LeBron will play a lot better. For as much as I've been upset with his play here in the regular season, I think that he'll be more of himself here. But I still think at times there probably will be some games where AD has to go win them at the same time, even when LeBron has a good game. And I think that when those games happen, there may be 2 games where Nurkic plays pretty darn good defense. Whiteside and Nurkic are just subbing in and out every time one gets tired to guard him. And then Dame and CJ will hit some shots. Even Hazonia has been hitting some crazy shots. Melo may hit some shots. But like you said, the Blazers have no defense, and the Lakers are just going to overwhelm them for the majority of the series. But Dame will win 2 games doing some stupid shots. But honestly, that's my main takeaway. Everything else, I just kind of ditto what you said.
Yeah, are you ready to go for Rockets and OKC? My favorite.
Oh my gosh!
Personally, my favorite matchup.
This is going to be. I hadn't even thought of this, Connor. I forgot about this series because we've been so in this.
Yeah.
This is a series.
Yeah, you get to go.
I get to go first.
Yeah, because I gave you my prediction first, if I remember correctly.
No, I don't know what your prediction is for the series.
No. For the Lakers, Portland,
okay,
I went
yes,
first.
you did. Mm-hmm. Good catch. Okay, I'm gonna go. As much as I want the Oklahoma City Thunder to pull this one out, I'm going Rockets in 6. I think it's kind of the same thing that goes for the Lakers and the Portland Trail Blazers. OKC is such a talented team, and they're going to be able to dominate in the post with Steven Adams, because Steven Adams is the one of the few players in this bubble that was able to slow down Anthony Davis. He's going to be able to slow down PJ Tucker. Yes, he's going to be on the perimeter, but they're going to win the rebound battle every night. Danilo Gallinari is going to hit some shots. The Thunder are going to hit some shots. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to make some plays. He's a good defender too. He can make Harden miss some shots. Will it be, enough to keep him under 35? Maybe not. But he's still going to play. He's going to cause some missed shots for Harden and Westbrook for that matter. CP3 is going to be super motivated. That's why I feel like they're going to win 2 games. But overall, Russ and Harden will just be too much to deal with.
There's some that you might want to factor in. Russell's going to miss the first 2 games. He's going to miss 2 games at least with the injury.
I forgot about that. Wow. Okay.
I was gonna tell you. I didn't know if you knew that, but I was reading about.
I knew that. I just forgot. That makes this way more interesting.
Yeah, that's why.
That's at least okay.
Because in my opinion, I'll get my pick. I got Rockets in 7. I think
I'm going to go with that too, just because of those 2 missed. I think there's a chance that OKC could go 2-0 in those first 2 games.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm with you there. Like I said, though, still same thing. When Russ and Harden come back, they're just going to be too much for OKC to handle.
Yeah. So we got the Rockets and the Lakers in this conference semifinals. So we're going to need to go to the other bracket, which would be Denver and Utah. I got Denver in 6. The Denver is just a better team overall than Utah. I got to give props to Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert because they'll cause some problems, but Rudy Gobert can't really score, and Donovan Mitchell is going to be focused on, and Denver's just a deep
and Mike
team.
Conley hasn't been able to hit shots all season.
Yeah, Mike McConley. You mentioned him now. He's been forgettable. I haven't really heard his name much.
He's been solid on defense, but he's not Memphis Mike Conley.
I wouldn't be surprised if Denver gets in 5, honestly, but I think maybe Donovan Mitchell gets hot in one of these games, and I'll do Denver in 5 instead. I'll do Denver in 5. I think that they're going to dominate Utah, and Utah will get 1 game, but I think I got Denver in 5.
That's exactly what I had.
Yeah.
Denver got deeper in the bubble, specifically by the name of Michael Porter Jr. And the thing is, a lot of those rookie playoff expectations, there'll probably be some jitters and some missed shots, but it's not going to be nearly as severe as it usually would be with the screaming crowd. So a little bit of less pressure for Michael Porter Jr. than normal. So I think there might be some games where he still scores, 30. And that's just how he's been playing. Jeremy Grant, they're so deep. I don't know when they're getting back Gary Harris. And
I think they're going to be back for the playoffs.
That's what I'm assuming. I don't know for a fact if they're going to be back. If they're back, this could be a sweep. I don't think that's going to happen because the Jazz just have too much pride and they're too talented. And I think they'll get a game, which is why I have it in the gentleman's sweep. But
gentleman's sweep, I always find that funny.
If I don't know. I don't want to say that because I don't want to spoil anything down the line. But let me just say that the Nuggets are really, really, really good. Even if they don't win the championship this year, they could win it in the next few years with the way that they're looking. They're such a deep team. They play so well. They pass the ball. You forget about Paul Millsap. And Paul Millsap is an all-star, level player. Yeah, he's on the older side, but he's still able to do a lot of the things he was able to do, play great defense, play on the perimeter, shoot threes, but can still post up. And then you've got Jokic right next to him, who's way faster than he used to be, in better shape. Michael Porter Jr. is going for 30. And Jamal Murray, we know how clutch he is, except whenever it comes to leaked Instagram stories. And then Jamal Murray can also he can hit threes throughout the game. We haven't even mentioned Torrey Craig. Craig is like the Ryan Fitzpatrick of the NBA. He's just hitting shots and is 6'7" and is, the heart of a plumber in the words of Pat McAfee, and is just a legend. And I mean, I remember he was playing like that last year against the Spurs. They're so deep. They're so talented. They're so long. They're so athletic. They play great defense. They score interior points, and they shoot threes. I could go on and on about the Nuggets. They are definitely the third best team in the West, in my opinion.
I think that pretty much wraps up. I got Denver and a gentleman sweep. We both agree. We've had not very many disagreements, but I feel like that's going to change in probably the next two. So Clippers, Mavericks, 2nd and 7th seed, respectively.
This is a tough one too.
I don't think it's that tough because the reality is Clippers are going to struggle in those first couple of games because they're getting Montrezl Harrell back. So they're going to need to figure out how they're going to work him into the lineup. So I think Dallas is probably going to get 1 or 2 games. I don't know if it's going to be Clippers in 6 or Clippers in a gentleman sweep. I'm not sure quite yet. I'm not sure I feel about it, but
that's what I was kind of debating in my head.
My gut is telling me that the Mavericks will steal 1 game and it'll be a gentleman sweep because I just think the Clippers are that freaking good that they will have a game where they just will not play well. They don't know how to do it, and then it's going to click immediately. I saw flashes of that happen in the bubble where they absolutely just dominate teams. And I have a lot of respect for the Mavericks because Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis are the real deal. And if they play well, great. But to be honest, Luka Doncic, as much as his stats have been impressive, his shooting from three-point range has not been that great. His passing has been outstanding, but I have concerns sometimes about Luka Doncic in the clutch. I don't really have that concern with Kawhi Leonard. I don't have that concern with a lot of the players on the Clippers team. And I also think the Clippers are extraordinarily deep off the bench too. So I think I'm going to go Clippers in 5. I maybe think 6, but I got a gentleman sweep is what I'm going to go with.
It's crazy because I feel like it just seems like we're copying each other, but I'm really not. That's what I think is going to happen too. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I could see it going 6, but here's the thing. And this was the thing that I thought about this series. I love Luka Doncic. I really do.
I think
most NBA fans love what Luka Doncic is doing. His story is great. The way that he plays is phenomenal. The numbers he puts up are, historic. He's a perimeter guy.
Kawhi Leonard's gonna.
He's never gone up against Kawhi in the
Paul
playoffs.
George or Kawhi.
And Kawhi may make him go 7 for 22 and score 14 points. I'm serious. This is Luka's first time in the playoffs, and he's going up against literally a human perimeter defense machine that has no feelings and just has a task that it wants to accomplish. And I think Luka could get shut down in some games, and I just think that's going to be the difference. Oh, and Kawhi gets tired. It's fine. Just put the second best perimeter defender in the league on him, Paul George. So Kristaps, I think, will have some big games, and Luka will be able to do we'll have like 2 big games. I think he'll be able to hit some shots because he can hit contested shots. But like you said, the Clippers are way too deep. They have 2 players. They have the 2 best players in the series by far. If you go down the list of best players in the series, they have the top 2. And yeah, I think the Mavericks, this is going to be a great experience for them. They're going to get deeper in the offseason. I'm sure Mark Cuban will figure something out. Even if it's not this offseason, next offseason, they need to add another star around those guys and a certified bucket getter. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been impressive, but he's not going to win you a title. So, yeah, that's really my main thing here. If the Clippers, just do their normal thing and they play good basketball, they're going to have Montrezl back. That's going to be huge. And if they can get back into their rhythm that they were in the regular season and play like a team, a cohesive team, then this will be domination for most of it. And I think that's what will happen.
All right. So we have Denver and the Clippers in the conference semifinals. Jude, I got to ask you, because we're going to go back to the Lakers and Rockets conference semifinals. Might have to take us up to bat for this one first. Usually you'd be going first, but I'd like to go first.
For Lakers, Rockets?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh no.
So here's my thinking. If Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Eric Gordon are healthy, which is big ifs with Russell Westbrook, but apparently the injury is not that significant. but they want to keep him out for restricted. I don't know about Eric Gordon.
He played in the last game of the season.
Okay, he played, so he'll be gone.
He didn't shoot very well. I'd like to say
He'll be okay.
He shot kind of bad, like really bad.
He'll get going in that first round playoffs. I've been mulling this around in my head because I'm thinking, if James Harden doesn't win now, if he doesn't, when is he ever going to win? And this is honestly probably one of the better chances he's going to ever have to making a finals potentially, because you're playing against a Lakers team who's dismantled with the point guard and scoring guard positions.
Oh God!
And so I'm really thinking about this heavily.
I don't even hate where you're going with this because I kind of see what you're saying.
And I got Rockets. I got Rockets in 7 beating the Lakers, and people are gonna be really mad about that pick. And maybe it's the disdain for LeBron James.
They're way deeper though. The Rockets have so many more shot makers like that they can rely on, and Harden's gonna be Harden. That's a really good. I hadn't thought about that.
And I truly think the Lakers are gonna try and press that quote unquote gas pedal that everyone keeps talking about. But I think when they try to do that against the Rockets, it may not happen a few games. And I think it's going to be a very competitive series. And as much as I have never trusted James Harden in the playoffs, I'm going to need the beard to come through. And I really do think with the combination of the athleticism from Westbrook and Harden just putting buckets in at 3-point range, it's going to be really difficult. And LeBron's going to have to guard one of them. And he's not going to guard Russell Westbrook because Russell's too quick for him. And Anthony Davis is probably going to get maybe a little bit exposed because I don't know because he'll be able to dominate the paint, no question. But I don't know who's going to guard because PJ Tucker can shoot it too. So there's going to be a small ball.
But Anthony Davis can play on the perimeter.
He can't play on the perimeter, but I think I'm gonna give the edge to the Rockets here. I got him in 7 games.
So here's our first disagreement. Our first disagreement.
I knew it was going to come.
Yeah, and I would like to say I get what you're saying. Like, that was something that I didn't thought. Not now. I'm like, whoa, that could happen. But I have Lakers in 6. I think that AD it's going to drop like 40 every game because they have nobody in the paint. They have no one. Their tallest player is Robert Covington. He's not guarding Anthony Davis. PJ Tucker, not guarding Anthony Davis. Those two guys also is James Harden, not guarding LeBron. Those two guys, PJ Tucker, Robert Covington, maybe Robert Covington can slow down LeBron a little bit. I don't think it will be enough for Anthony Davis. I know I like the Rockets supporting cast better than I like the Lakers supporting cast. But you've also got to think, we haven't even mentioned JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. Those are two other guys, I know they're not the craziest, but those are two other guys who are, once again, they've had some moments and they're going to eat against this Rockets team. Kuzma will probably just be able to shoot over a lot of people. Not saying that he's going to have great games, but I think he's going to do enough for them to get the win. Even if he goes 5 for 17 and only scores 13 points, I think that's going to be enough. I think that they're going to need LeBron to guard Harden. And if LeBron can look like he did on defense sometimes when he has during the bubble, I don't know if it's necessarily going to slow down James Harden. I see you shaking your head.
He's not going to be able to do that the whole series.
Not the whole series.
You can't do that the whole series.
That's why I'm giving him 2 games. But when it comes down to it, I just think of points in the paint, and I just think that's going to be a huge difference. So I'm going Lakers in 6.
The last game,
maybe Lakers in 7, but I'm still sticking with Lakers in 6.
The Rockets. Well, I think this was without LeBron too. I didn't see LeBron's stats, but they beat the Lakers inside the bubble 113-97. So the thing is, if the Rockets get hot, they're unstoppable. And it hasn't really worked with D'Antoni, so that's also a thing. And we'll have to see with the Rockets. It doesn't really change my pick who's going to make the finals, in my opinion. But it would be very interesting to see. But, yeah, I have Rockets in the conference finals. Gotcha. You have the Lakers in the conference finals.
So I have the Battle of LA, and you have the Battle of Houston in LA.
We'll see. We haven't picked the
Oh
Denver or
shoot,
the Clippers yet. So
I was forgetting something. Okay,
yeah,
we'll see.
you go. You go.
Well, I just kind of ruined it. I love the Nuggets, but I don't. This is a tough one for me because I could see this going 7 games, but I just think playoff experience wise, Kawhi and Paul George, but specifically Kawhi, is just so much like he's just on another level whenever it's in comparison to the rest of that Nuggets roster whenever it comes to playoff experience and clutchness. And you can put Paul George on Jamal Murray. You can put Kawhi on Michael Porter Jr. Or Jamal Murray in some cases, whoever. The Clippers are good defense. Oh, I'm thinking I forgot about Patrick Beverley. Put Patrick Beverley on Jamal Murray.
Murray, yep.
They're the only team that
even though Spencer thinks he's washed up.
Yeah. I know I mentioned the deepest teams in the league. These are definitely the 2 deepest teams in the West. And probably top 5 deepest teams in the league. I don't know where I'd put the Nuggets, but both of these 2 teams are up there for sure. Yeah, I'm going Clippers in 6. I just think I think Kawhi and Paul George are the difference. They're the 2 best players in the series, and I think Montrez can slow down Jokic. And I think Patrick Beverley can slow down Murray. I think Michael Porter Jr. can be slowed down combined by Kawhi and Paul George. Kawhi will probably be guarding Paul Millsap now that I think about it. Paul George will slow down Michael Porter Jr., and if they need to switch that, then just give him Kawhi. I mean, when you have somebody like Kawhi who can just lock down any player on the floor, and then you have other key defensive players, we're going to have that Lou Will Montrez pick and roll off the bench. I think a lot of these games may be close, but I just think that the Clippers are they're going to win it.
Yeah, I got Clippers in 6 too. Literally, when you were making your pick, I was like, okay, I'm going to say Clippers in 6, and that's my pick. And then you literally say it. So it's weird that I've been like making these picks consciously as before you make your prediction. It's been the same. But yeah, I got Clippers in 6. Here. The Nuggets have been a very good team, and I would not be surprised if the Nuggets won, weirdly enough. I'd be a little bit surprised, but they're so good talent-wise that they have a shot. But I do think the playoff experience –
I could see going 7.
I could see going 7 too, but I think the Clippers are just going to be rolling at some points. And that Paul George, that defensive unit for the Clippers is scary. And if Jokic, the Joker, can really put in a performance that is equivalent – to Heath Ledger or Joaquin Phoenix, then maybe he's got a decent shot pushing the 7 games.
And I think Montrez can run with him.
Yeah, and Michael Porter Jr. may be that X factor, but like he's going to be guarded by Kawhi or Paul George.
Exactly.
And it seems like whenever you try to go, it's like, well, what about Jamal Murray? It's like, well, Pat Bev's on him. And so it's going to be –
And they do so much switching too.
Yeah.
Like in that position where Jamal Murray's, there's like 6 seconds left on the clock. There may have been a switch and Kawhi's guarding, the ball handler, whoever it may be. And that's exactly what I was saying. When you think about going, oh, another player can hit a shot, the problem with the Clippers is they have so many good defensive players. I didn't even mention Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris is another player off the bench that can play great defense on the perimeter and on the interior against somebody like a Michael Porter Jr. So.
Yeah, I guess I want to go back to my Rockets pick real quick because I had an argument in my head for why, and I didn't really eloquent that. One reason why when we go back to the conference semifinals, I picked the Rockets moving to the conference finals with the LA Clippers, is because I believe that the Rockets, when you look at their point guard, scoring guard position, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, they're miles ahead better than whatever the Lakers are going to be putting in front of them. And, of course, Anthony Davis is going to be miles better than whoever they're putting from. So it's going to be a tough matchup. But reason why I think the Trailblazers is going to make it very tough for the Lakers. And Dame Lillard's better than Russell Westbrook, but I think the gap is a little pretty wide, but compared to Russell Westbrook, but I don't think it's that bad. Like, I think definitely Dame Lillard's better shoot.
Yeah, there's not too much between Russ and Dame.
Yeah, so – and then James Harden's way better than CJ McCollum. Way, 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 way better than CJ McCollum.
Absolutely.
So that was one of my thinkings of this pushing it 7 games, as much as I don't have a presence in the center and power forward positions.
Now that you're saying this, I'm This is me getting convinced by you to an extent. I will admit for the first time on the show, no, I think it'll go 7. I'll change it to Lakers in 7.
Yeah, and so that was my understanding. And
Harden
then
will
if
get it to
it goes to
7.
7 games, then that I picked them at 7. But it's gonna be tough. But I think the Rockets have a legit shot, especially with Eric Gordon if he's coming off the bench and playing well. And they have Tyson Chandler riding that bench hard,
But they never play him.
Play him. So we'll see. I don't know. I have to watch because I think that's going to be a very explosive series between the Lakers and Rockets. But yeah,
if they play Tyson Chandler, I know Tyson Chandler's old, but if they play Tyson Chandler, I think that gives them a better chance of I could see them winning this series if he plays consistently. I know that sounds crazy, but he's still very athletic. I don't know if you've seen some, and he brings a lot of energy on the floor, and he'd be able to match a Dwight Howard or a JaVale McGee. Or not, he wouldn't, match an Anthony Davis, but he'd do a better job defending him than PJ Tucker.
Okay, let's look down this roster really quick for the Rockets. Okay, they have Austin Rivers, who just dropped 41. Eric Gordon, who is healthy. He plays well. PJ Tucker, Robert Covington, Jeff Green, who's played really well. Daniel House has been playing out of his mind. Ben McLemore has been playing pretty decently. So they have a bench and who they can play.
They do. I think a lot of those guys are going to go cold like they normally do in the playoffs. Eric Gordon's not reliable. Robert Covington and Jeff Green may make some shots.
Jeff Green will make shots. I think he's underrated.
Yeah, I think that, but I don't think that overcomes LeBron and AD. And I know that they don't have that great of a bench, but if they can get 13 points from Kuz, maybe if Quinn Cook starts hitting some threes, let's see who else.
Quinn Cook embarrassed himself. He was on Shaq and the Fool the other day.
But he had a game with 20 points in the bubble. And I know he's Quinn Cook, and sometimes he doesn't look like an NBA player.
He didn't look good in the playoffs with the Warriors a few times.
There are also times where he's just hitting threes, right? And that's all the Lakers are going to need in this series with how well LeBron and AD are going to be playing, in my opinion.
Well, you hope so. I trust AD more right now than LeBron.
I agree with that. But the thing is AD is more important in this series than LeBron anyway because of his mismatch in the paint. He's going to be getting more easy looks than LeBron in the first place. So he's going to need to really carry this series, and LeBron's going to need to have triple-double performances with, 25 plus. And I think he can do that. Maybe not triple-double, but 25 plus and, rebounding as well. But yeah, I think definitely play LeBron at the 4 in this series to kind of match up with the Rockets and play AD at center. But I know their bench isn't as good.
I'm curious about something right here. Let's say, hypothetically, you switch LeBron and Giannis and put them on opposite teams where LeBron's on the Bucks and Giannis is on the Lakers. I think the Lakers may be a little bit better with Giannis.
Well, okay, against the Rockets, yes.
I think that team, as much as LeBron shoots a little bit better, but with LeBron, the Bucks, yikes. it would be rough for LeBron, I'm not going to lie. But I'm thinking about this now. If it's just hypothetically, it's just hypothetical in my mind. But I was like, that team, I'd be more sold on the Lakers with Giannis and AD.
Playing in this round, though, I don't know if I feel as confident about the Blazers series if Giannis is on the roster.
That may be true. But
maybe the Lakers would still win, but
something about LeBron bothers me. I haven't seen him play
right now.
Fantastic.
He doesn't look very good.
Yeah, I'm I think he'll be able to do it in the playoffs because he's done it time and time again. But I'm waiting for the day where it's just not the same. And I think maybe this series we'll see. But I'm kind of going on a diatribe and a monologue.
I get what you're saying, but I just think even this year when he shot poorly, if he can give you 26, 6 and 11, which he's done in some games with subpar, sub 50% shooting percentage, I think that with what AD is going to do in this series, with the way that he's just going to be able to do whatever he wants, I just think it's going to be enough.
I'm just spitballing a little bit. I'm just saying, LeBron's been, I don't know. I just we had no doubts like years ago. Like we like yeah, they'll
Even
make it
last
fine.
year,
Yeah,
even before the season shut down.
yeah. But okay, let's move
Yeah.
on to the conference finals.
So we have different conference finals
Yeah,
for
but
the
you go ahead
West.
first. I've been going
Okay.
long enough.
This is a tough one, but I'm gonna go Clippers in 6. Um,
Yep.
this is where I think it's gonna come back to bite LeBron. In the last game that LeBron played against Kawhi Leonard, he didn't get 20 points even. I think that could continue. I don't think he's going to get – I think maybe he has one game where he gets 25 plus. I think other than that, it's going to be bad shooting around 20%. And I think that Kawhi and Paul George are going to make shots, and Montrezl Harrell is going to slow down AD just a little bit. He's going to miss 2 to 4 more shots. I talked about this the last time after the first game when we talked about it. AD's not going to be shut down, and he's still going to get a lot of points, but they're going to be getting buckets from Montrez, defense from Montrez too, and buckets from Lou Williams, which they didn't have before. On top of Reggie Jackson, on top of other shooters that they have on the roster. Landry Shamet will probably hit some shots. I know he's not a crazy player, but he can hit a 3 when they need him to, coming off a screen. I know I'm forgetting some other guys. JaMychal Green, Marcus Morris. I mean,
Green's been hitting some
that's what
three-point
I'm
shots.
saying.
Like, it's weird.
A lot of
It's
people
weird.
forget about that. He was one of the best players on those grit and grind Grizzlies teams late in the era. He's a great stretch 4 who can pull up sometimes and looks way better than he does things that is way better than he should be sometimes, but he's a scrappy defender as well. They've got Zubox as well. Zubox is, Zubox, but he's an okay, on defense. In the paint, he's good. On the perimeter, he's kind of a potato, but, they need that interior defense sometimes. So
yeah.
I think the Clippers are just a way better team. I could see this in 5. People might think I'm crazy, but I could see this in 5. The one thing that stuck with me with the Lakers this year, and you can call it the regular season, you can say whatever. That Nuggets game where they played PJ Dozier. You're on a FaceTime call. PJ Dozier, Monte Morris, Mason Plumlee, Keita Bates-Diop, and I'm forgetting the fifth person, but that should just be the point. I'm forgetting the 5th person who was on
Mason
the floor.
Plumlee?
I said Mason Plumlee,
okay,
Keita Bates-Diop, all those guys. Doesn't matter. I'm forgetting the other person who was on the floor. That should say something because it was their 3rd string. Oh, and Bol. That's who it was.
Bol.
Right? There were 3rd stringers on the court, and they were hanging with them. And LeBron and AD played basically the whole time. They had to end up winning the game late in the 4th. You can say, shot from Kyle Kuzma, were going slow. But they played the entire time, and then Kuzma hit the shot, right? Why are they playing down to the wire if they don't care? Like, you can't explain that to me. There's a point where the excuses have to stop. And when you give up 32 to a combination of, basically, you talk about having 13 guys on the roster. This was 8 through 13. You know what I'm saying? Like some guys who normally come off the bench, but some 3rd stringers, like usually Will Barton or Gary Harris, would be playing these, or Torrey Craig would then be off the bench. You know what I'm saying? Those are 2 key contributors who average double digits in points, and are solid defenders as well on the wing. I don't see it. I think the Lakers are deteriorating, unfortunately, and it's not because of Anthony Davis. I think LeBron
I like the Lakers
decline,
franchise. I just don't like LeBron that much, but in my opinion, I think
LeBron. I didn't mean the franchise are deteriorating. I just meant the team's deteriorating because LeBron is kind of on the decline. Maybe not on the decline. Maybe he's just having a bad game, but it doesn't really matter to me how much crap he talked and how he looked in the first game and how he said he was going, playoff mode to start. He's looked pretty bad. He hasn't shot well. Out of the 4 of the beginning, out of 3 of the 4 beginning bubble games, I know this was at the beginning, but still, this kind of continued as it went on with poor shooting numbers, right? Because we saw some losses, like that Thunder loss. Out of three of the four beginning games in the bubble, Anthony Davis and LeBron combined shot their worst percentages in a game. In 3 out of the 4 games, it was their 3 lowest percentages in the year combined shooting percentage.
Yeah,
and that continued in that Nuggets game against subpar competition.
And Anthony Davis has been hot and cold like Katy Perry. It's been off and on
because he's been
Anthony Davis. Yeah, and let's go with your hypothetical before I go to mine, because me, in my opinion, I think if it's Rockets, Clippers win in 5. I just think the Rockets have no shot really against the Clippers. But if we take, I think yours is more realistic than mine to a certain degree. I'm banking on the fact that Russell Westbrook and James Harden take over. And that's my hope for against the Lakers, is that they just take over, which is a possibility. I think if we do Rockets Lakers really quick. No, we're not Rockets Lakers. Rockets Clippers.
Lakers.
Yeah, whatever. It's getting close now. No, Rockets Clippers. I got Clippers in 5, just because defensively they're going to just mop the floor with them. It's not even going to be close. And it's going to be people like, Rockets if they make it, they'll be dangerous. Because I think people made the argument Rockets are the biggest threat to the Clippers, and I went, how? If they have everyone healthy and everyone on the floor, it's not even close.
Montrez can run. Remember, Montrezl Harrell played for the Rockets.
I know.
If you guys remember that,
it's a bad loss for the Rockets now
in Mike D'Antoni's system. So he knows what they do, and he can run that and play great defense. So. Yeah, I don't think Zubac would see a lot of time on the floor in that series.
No, but he'll be a solid
But it wouldn't
player.
be a problem because they can just run Patrick Patterson, JaMychal Green, and Montrezl Harrell, and that works perfectly against the Rockets. But anyways, besides that series.
Yeah, and let's go with your Lakers Clippers conference finals. I am so sick and tired of people talking about LeBron like he's going to be able to defend Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, because everyone had some recency bias of that game where it was very close, and the Clippers are still without Lou Williams and Montrezl
missing
Harrell.
Their 2 top scorers.
I am sick and tired of that narrative of like, oh yeah, LeBron's going to D up Kawhi Leonard. I'm like, and Paul George, I said, no, he's not. He's not going to be able to do that in a 7-game series. He did that in 3
possessions in the game, and if they had 36 more points, it wouldn't have mattered.
No, people are on crack if they think LeBron is going to be able to do that for a whole series. And I have a lot of respect for LeBron as a player, but I think LeBron is overhyped in the terms of how, he's such a great leader, even though he gets his teammates kicked off the team when he doesn't like it. Oh, he never does anything, but he trades away players to get what he wants. He's kind of like the spoiled brat of the NBA. He gets whatever he wants, and it's because he's one of the greatest players of all time. But he's not greater than some of the other players like Kobe or Tim Duncan. He needs to prove more to me. And I get sick and tired of people saying, oh, LeBron's the greatest player of all time. I'm like, yeah, Shannon Sharp, shut your mouth. You get free shoes from LeBron, so that's why you say that.
This is going to be a great clip.
I get sick and tired of that. Anthony Davis is the one carrying this team. Don't get it twisted. Anthony Davis is the one putting up 40 points. LeBron's not doing that. What has LeBron shown in this bubble that makes you go, oh, yeah, they're winning the finals? You guys are on the weed, like Stephen A. Smith would say. I get so frustrated with people and talking about LeBron, and he's won 3 championships, but he's lost way more than he's won, and he should have won.
A lot of those losses have been embarrassing. Not every single one, but a lot of them. Most of them have been sweeps or gentlemen's sweeps.
I just get tired of it. I really get tired of people with those brawn. It's almost hard to comprehend how sick and tired I get, because you can respect LeBron as a player, but and much like MJ would do, he would create narratives in the locker room that would kind of get him going in order to win. So in that aspect, that's what LeBron does. But I don't know. I just never been a LeBron fan. I don't think he's that great of a teammate sometimes. I think he's a good person, but I think sometimes he just kind of runs teammates out when he wants to.
I think his ego gets in his way.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. People may think I'm different. I'm not judging him off the court, because I can argue he's the greatest person off the court of all time for what he does.
Him investing in education,
police
Bless.
reform and other programs. I'm not saying him as a person. I'm not tagging the person. I'm tagging what he's done on the basketball court, people, because some people
Same.
may get. That's all I'm strictly basing off it, and I haven't been that impressed sometimes on the basketball court. And I think there was so much hype for him.
Without a good bench and star players, other than that Cleveland series, he's kind of been weak his entire career. And this bubble, he's looked weak. Like, and I don't mean that in like his strength, like in his mental fortitude, he's looked weak because I mean, he complains after every call he doesn't get when
That's
he's the
another
one.
thing, Jude.
Yeah,
That's
he
another
gets
thing right there.
every single call for his entire career, and one call doesn't go his way, and he acts like, I mean, the look on his face is like he just got,
Yes.
like, it is like it's the most ridiculous thing on the planet. And everybody else saw the foul, LeBron. You're just delusional, and you have your own, you know what, up your, you know what.
LeBron,
And
flop boy, James.
he just, he's
I know, like
just
it's
weak
frustrating
sometimes, man. Like
and I hate that, like
he does some stuff that's just it's unfortunate because for how good of a player he is, we should not be this frustrated with him.
No, and I get frustrated more on Undisputed because you have two people. Obviously, they do TV ratings and they want to get the ratings up by having controversial opinions, and that's what makes a show. So people can go on. People are fools. They're just playing you. They're playing on your emotions so they get the best out of you. Wink, wink. And people don't realize that, and then they just start saying stuff. And people always want to bring LeBron and MJ. The one thing about MJ that I will always bring up, and no one can debate this when it comes to LeBron, MJ never lost in a finals. LeBron has. And you can go back and say, well, MJ, when he was young, he got swept. I was like, yeah, by some of the greatest teams of all time, like the 80s Boston Celtics, the Detroit Bad Boy Pistons, who LeBron's never, ever going to face a team like the Pistons Bad Boys. And it's just frustrating to hear some arguments that are to me, because I think Kobe's better than LeBron, my opinion. But okay, I need to get off that.
I'm thinking I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, and I don't even, I don't.
It's
even
hard
like
to play
LeBron
devil's advocate for
well,
LeBron.
there was that, and I'm not even saying this just because they're my favorite team. That 2000, that Spurs team wasn't as good as any of those other.
Yeah, but Tim Duncan missed a bunny that he should have made in that Game 7.
Well, that's
one thing. 2013 NBA
I'm
Finals?
talking about when he got swept when he was in Cleveland by the Spurs.
Yeah, I don't even really count that against him because he was so young.
Yeah, that was it was such a bad team that he was playing with, and like the Spurs had like Michael Finley off the bench, but
and Delonte West.
He lost to that Warriors team. You can't really fault him for that because that's one of the most talented teams of all time. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if those teams are necessarily as tough as the Bad Boy Pistons and Magic and Bird at the end of their primes. Yeah, it's a tough one. We shouldn't even get into it.
Okay, all right.
Just because we're already so long in, but
I know
that's just it's a tough one. I don't think I'm as harsh as what you were saying, but I understand your frustration. The thing that bothers me is he acts like he's the best, and there are a lot of holes in his resume if he wants to be the best. If he was like, I'm top 10 all time, definitely, then I don't think anybody would have a problem with that because that's reasonable, right?
I think what I'm.
But there's too many holes in. You're good. And there's too many holes in his GOAT resume. If you
I think that's what frustrates me the most is not so much LeBron, like the player, but it's the people that talk about him, and it's also him too because he perpetuates a lot of the problems too about his image and what he's done as well. But it's a lot of the people in their talk because there's this like notion that LeBron's the GOAT, and I don't understand it because he may be the all-time leading scorer by this all-time and maybe other categories as well. But how much does that merit? Because at the end of the day, when I look at success, I look about how many rings you got on your hands. How many Super Bowls did you win? That's a big one for me. And now if we're going to do that, then we're like, well,
but we're not, we're not saying that because that's a different era. You're talking about kind of, with a little bit more holistic, right? You can talk about Michael's regular season MVPs, his all-stars, his defensive players of the year. Has LeBron James ever won a defensive player of the year?
I don't think he has.
Yeah, he hasn't. Anyways, that's what you're trying to get at.
Yeah, that's more like there's no question LeBron, when it's said and done, will probably be top 5. But
I agree.
at the end of the day, it's more of the conversations that I hear when people talk about LeBron. And as I mentioned, maybe some of the frustration it comes from the social media aspect and what TV personalities have to say about him, which I think are kind of crazy at some points. And also, I think his on-court behavior has not been the best when it comes to like fouls and being dramatic and drama.
There's a lot
And
of theater with LeBron.
yeah, a lot of theater. So that's my issues. But anyways, we should probably get back to the NBA Finals. So probably get back to the Finals prediction. So we have Clippers and the Miami Heat.
So even though we have a different Eastern or Western Conference, we still have the same finals. Ironically,
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to go first on this? You can go first.
Talked a lot there.
I think we probably have the same thing.
Yeah, I think I got Clippers in 6 games. I don't know about 7, but I got 6 games. I think Miami is going to put up a decent fight, but the Clippers are just going to shut them down on so many levels defensively that Jimmy Butler and the team is going to play well, but Bam Adebayo, Montrezl Harrell are going to cancel each other out. Jimmy Butler is going to be canceled by Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard's just going to score relentlessly. No one's going to be able to guard Kawhi.
PG.
And so it's going to be kind of a bloodbath. It's going to be hard to watch my Heat just get wrecked in the finals by LA Clippers, but I picked the Clippers to win the championship, and that's what I expect. Maybe it could be a gentleman's sweep potentially, but I try to give it some respect. Maybe Jimmy Buckets gets something, but I say Clippers in 6.
Yeah, I have gentleman's sweep. Yeah. Just because I can see where you're going, but
yeah, the more
they
I think
basically
about it,
have two. Well, I got to sneeze. That should be a clip. And then I didn't even sneeze. That's a good clip.
I thought it was like you're faking for a second. You're no. I'm going to sneeze.
No, dude, I did have to really bad. And then it just, of course, it's like I don't when I have to. But anyways, that didn't make sense. If Jimmy Butler does this, which I think he will, but I'm still going to be like, oh my God, he did it if he does it, right? I think that he'll be kind of on Paul George's level. You can maybe argue he's a little bit better than Paul George at that point. But what I was going to say earlier is you can also argue that the Clippers kind of have like 2 better versions of Jimmy Butler. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that can actually score consistently over 25.
Exactly. But if the Heat get to the finals, like we're saying, I think Jimmy Butler will be doing that. So I think you could say he's kind of on Paul George's level. But still, at the same time, you're going to have Kawhi and you're going to have Paul George. You're going to be scoring. That's not even accounting for Lou Williams and Reggie Jackson and, you know, a bunch of other guys that the Clippers are just deeper than – like they're deeper. They're just as deep. They're not deeper. They're just as deep as the Heat. But the thing is, on balance, on most position – they're more talented. And that's just kind of what it comes down to. Like Montrezl Harrell can play with Bam Adebayo. Like you said, they're going to cancel each other out. Kawhi and Paul George right now.
Going to guard Goran Dragic.
Yeah. Pat Bev's going to guard Goran Dragic.
Yeah, pretty much all Miami is covered.
Yeah, right now, Duncan Robinson will probably be guarded by Paul George. Is he going to be hitting those shots against Paul George? Probably not as much. So like I said, right now, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are better than Jimmy Butler. So that's why I think that the scrappy Heat will get a game because they'll hit a bunch of threes. Bam will have a good game, and Jimmy isn't going to get swept. He'll will a win. He'll pull a Manu like he did in that Warriors series where there was just nothing you can do. Jimmy Butler was going to get you this win whether you liked it or not. So that's what I think is going to happen. I'm kind of on the same level with you. Like I said, it just kind of comes down to depth for me and the 2 stars. And the depth is just as good, if not better, talent-wise for the bench. And then Jimmy Butler is just – you got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and that just cancels him out.
I have a quick question before we kind of conclude our NBA playoffs prediction. If the Toronto Raptors made it to the finals somehow, because that series would be very close. Do you think the Raptors would put up a bigger fight against the Clippers,
I think so.
Miami Heat? I think so too.
But I still only think that would go 6.
Yeah.
I think there's potential for 7, but I think it would only go 6. So, yep.
I think this was long. I mean,
this was really long.
But yeah, we'll have plenty of clips for sure for people to check out.
It'll work out. It's not too bad either. I feel like an hour and a half realistically for playoff predictions for both conferences. I feel like most podcasts would go around this length.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that about wraps it up for me. If you're good.
Yeah, I'm good. I think it's your turn to take it out.
Yeah, I got it. So appreciate everyone tuning in. If you've actually listened this far, I'm be surprised, and it'd be
it's
a
probably
miracle.
only a select handful of people.
I don't think anyone does, but if you somehow have listened, I do appreciate it. And if you want to follow for more clips, make sure to follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at Not My Fault Pod. And also feel free to give us a like or rate us a few times and give us write us a little note or I don't know what they call it. Review on, great closing, Connor. The LeBron of closing.
For reference, it's 2:30 a.m.
Yeah, I'm the LeBron of closing it right now. This podcast out.
Facts.
But thank you so much for listening. I mean, this is Connor McKinnon and Jude McLaren signing off. Appreciate you guys.